first of all, welcome to everybody. Thank you for coming in today. I am Hannah Schutz. I'm one of the 4 school counselors at Sehome, and I work with students, last names H through M in 10th through 12th grade. So if you remember 9th grade, you had wonderful Mr. Smith, who's not with us this morning, but he is the 9th grade counselor. And then our model at Sehome is then once you transition into 10th grade, we go by last name. So I work with all students H through M in the middle of the alphabet, and I will be with you through graduation and helping you for your plans beyond. We were thinking about sharing one thing that's been keeping us balanced at home. And I have to say that mine has been getting out every day, rain or shine, on the trails and walking with my dog. I have upped my gear so that I can do that all year in the dark, in the rain. And this morning there were a lot of downed trees. So, but that's been keeping me balanced during this time at home. So it's nice to see you all this morning.
Yeah, so I'm Miss Jill. I am school counselor for students with last names A through G, 10 through 12th grade. So like Ms. Schutz said, I will be with you for the rest of high school, navigating schedules, plans for after high school, but also I'm available to be able to chat if there are things that come up for you, whether that's, just having a really tough time with going through COVID or just stuff with life, thinking about navigating school, all of those kinds of things. So right now, the best way to get a hold of me, I think, is through the chat on Teams. I really like using that because, we can instantly talk with each other, or you can always email, and we have cell phones as well. So that information is on the counseling website, and we'll look over that a little bit later. But if I haven't met you already, I'm really looking forward to meeting you, and reach out anytime.
Yes, and I'm John Vandermullen, Mr. Vandermullen. So I often send my emails Mr. VM just to keep it short for you guys. Good morning. Thank you guys for being here. Really appreciate it because I know it's Wednesday and it's also not right after Anchor and the power outages. So we appreciate you guys being here. And I really miss seeing you guys in person. That's my favorite part of counseling. Obviously, it's just connecting with you guys in person, but like Ms. Jelt said, being able to do the chat or Zoom meetings or phone calls has worked. I'll just say what's kept me sane. I have 3 boys at home. I have twins in 3rd grade. I have a 4th grader, and just being silly and dancing and running and playing catch and just doing stuff, trying to stay active while we're all navigating this virtual world on the screen. So again, thanks for being here, and we'll look forward to. Can't wait to see you guys back in person too.
I totally spaced on saying my balance. Sorry about that, Ms. Schutz.
No, go for it.
I totally missed it. I've been doing a lot of crafts. So I'm big at trying new things, whether that's embroidery or paper crafts, or I did some imprinting of paint and things like that. So really trying to get my creative muscle going, because I think that really helps me find some peace and relaxation.
That's awesome. Okay, Mr. Kudo, I don't see the PowerPoint, but I don't know if that's just me. Is it? Oh, perfect. We have Mr. Kudo in the background, who's being our wonderful support person for tech, so that we can just focus on talking to you. So thank you, Mr. Kudo, in advance for that. Okay, we call this presentation Planting Seeds because we just want to acknowledge that we are going to share a lot of information today with you, and we don't expect you to retain it all. Like I said, we're going to send this out to you afterwards, but we also are going to revisit this with you. We are going to see you for registration at the spring. We are going to do meetings with you in 11th grade, and then again as seniors. So this is just to start some ideas and give you some initial information that we're going to continue to loop back to over the next 2.5 years when we're with you. Next slide, please. We did our introduction. So one thing I just want to acknowledge is that it has been such a year, with some really wonderful parts and some really challenging parts. And as I was reflecting today, as we started, I realized it's the 13th, and we closed school on March 13th last year. so 10 months ago. And this is something that we've never been through either, us counselors going through school during a pandemic. And so we just want you to know that while we're going over a lot of nuts and bolts today, we are here. And our main goal for today was really so that you know who your counselor is and you know how to reach us, and that you feel like you can do that if you haven't already. Our other goals for today are just to give you a kind of a big picture timeline, again, that you don't have to hang on to all this, but so you kind of know that we have a plan starting in 9th grade when you did your tech lit lessons and you started your high school and beyond plan. We're going to go over information today, and then we're going to meet with you in 11th and 12th grade. And part of that is to help you form a personal pathway. So each of you will have a unique path, not just through to graduation, but also starting to think about what you want to do after high school. We want to support you in forming that. We also want to just introduce some post-high school options today. Some of you are already thinking about that, and some of you, it's not on your mind at all, and that's totally normal as well. And then we're going to just touch on the high school and beyond plan, because we're going to have a follow-up meeting in a couple of weeks where we're actually going to do an activity with you and do the required part of that for 10th grade. And so we'll talk about that at the end. Let me see if there's anything else I wanted to. Typically in 10th grade, we'd be coming into your world history or English 201 classes. So again, new for us is this webinar this year. All right, next slide. Okay, we're going to do just a little quick tour of the counseling website. If you haven't been to the counseling website, we have a counseling tab at the top. And if you click on that, you're going to come to a main screen where we typically put quick links and time-sensitive information at the top. And then we have all our contacts. So there's Mr. Smith. We're going to scroll through fast. There I am, Mr. Vandermolen. There's our registrar and Miss Simpson, our admin assistant, Megan Lever, Amy Brewster, and Martha Zender. And we are all part of your student support team at Sehome. On the left-hand side of the counseling page, we have some pages, and one of those is the Career Center. Martha Zender is our Career Center specialist. She wears many hats. She has a very comprehensive website with lots of career searching and college planning options. She also has a scholarship page that will be a little more pertinent to our juniors and seniors especially. And we also have a registration tab, which we'll be talking about in the future weeks. And then an FAQ page, we try to post questions that are coming up that are common amongst students and address them there. Okay, and then I think I am handing this over. Let me just see if you have questions during the presentation. Okay, please use the Q&A. Perfect. So if anyone has questions, we'll try and answer them as we go. And I am turning this over to, I'm not sure, is it Ms. Jelt or Mr. Vandermolen?
Mr. Vandermolen, yes. So, 10th grade, here we are in 10th grade, which obviously this feels like a different 10th grade than normal, just since part of 9th grade wasn't in the building. So you guys, first thing I just want to tell you guys that just offer a shout out to you guys for your resilience during this time, because I know how difficult the online learning can be, and all the different things that that we're usually connected to in terms of friends and activities and sports, and we all miss that and want that back as soon as possible. So I guess the first thing is like just thinking about a temperature check and how you're doing and reflecting on that a little bit. Our goal as counselors is really supporting the whole you. So it's not just academics, it's not just future plans. It's mental health, and our big philosophy is health is the most important thing, like your health. So knowing it's been a challenging year and challenging times, we just kind of want to make sure if you are struggling with mental health or school or grief loss or family, friend issues, please reach out to us, and we're here to help. And we're here to listen, talk it through, problem solve, help connect you to resources, whatever's most helpful to you. We just want to meet you where you're at. So I think that's really the first most important thing that we really want to tell you guys. And again, reaching out by email, district cell, or by chat on Teams, any of those is totally great. The other thing too is just to put a little plug in. If you are struggling with school, we do have the virtual student learning center, and I don't know if anyone's tried that. Miss Brewster, and she's on our student services page that Ms. Schutz just showed on that tour. She's the one that coordinates it, and it's basically 1:30 to 3:30 every day but Wednesday. And there's a link on there where you can just log right into the virtual learning center and talk to Ms. Brewster and get support. There's also another link on there where you can actually sign up for tutoring help, and you can just sign up for a time and get connected to tutors. And tutors are like volunteers from Western Washington or the community who've been cleared by the district to help support you. So that's kind of the first thing under the temperature check. Second semester schedules. Again, I know this with this cycles, and we're in the 5 through 8 and we end this month. So starting in February, we'll move on to second semester. So starting January 19th, which is this coming Tuesday after the Monday holiday, we all get a day off the screen again, yay. Then you can view your second semester schedule on Skyward. So if you have questions, concerns, reach out to us. I will assure you we've done the best we can to match you up to what your requests are. And the schedule is pretty tight, and there are some things, adjustments we've had to make due to the scheduling this year that may be a little bit different. So again, view that starting next Tuesday. Also this year, you'll register for 11th grade courses. I can't believe that either. It's coming up in a few weeks in February. So kind of the process with that is kind of like last year, where we'll present the information. You'll be able to explore courses. We'll do that through Zoom links this year. And then you'll put in your requests, and then we'll follow up and meet with every single one of you individually to kind of finalize and review your requests and make sure they're accurate and look good. So that's kind of the process for that. Our big thing is check grad requirements and explore and kind of like gather info for yourself so you have a really good 11th grade schedule that you're happy with. And I think the other thing is 11th grade, we always say a lot of opportunities opened up, so a lot more options than 9th and 10th in terms of classes, programs. So we're going to go over those. So next slide. And then now this is more just a preview. And again, knowing this is a lot of information, but also knowing that some people like seeing the big picture and time goes fast. I mean, it's amazing, as we know. So next year, in the fall, the PSAT is a test that's all 11th graders typically take during the school day. So hopefully that's back. This year's juniors didn't have that opportunity just with COVID. So hopefully we'll be back in that mode for next year. And really what it is, it's a practice test for the SAT, which colleges may require, four-year colleges, the SAT or ACT. So it gives you practice. So that's in the fall. There's also, we will have like district college fairs, virtual tours for colleges, college rep visits. So like say a representative from Gonzaga University will like set up, come either visit in person in the building or do like a Zoom meeting, and they'll have a link, and you can sign up basically to hear about Gonzaga and talk with that person and ask questions. And so it's like small group settings. So those things will be in the fall. Winter, early spring, if your goal is to go to a four-year college right out of high school, that will be the time to think about taking an SAT or ACT, like at least one point in the spring, and you can also take another one fall of senior year. And then in the spring, we're going to meet with every one of our students in our Alpha one-on-one just to kind of talk about where you're at and think about plans going into senior year. And then lastly, of course, exploring just throughout the year, lots of options, so just take it where you're at. And again, I want to also reassure you, everyone's in different places, so wherever you're at is fine. I just want to keep telling you that because that's really important. And there's no right path, like everyone has their own path, so that's really important to us to emphasize. 12th grade, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this because it seems far off, but again, it'll come quick, so we just want to give you you can just at least look at this for a second. The only couple things I want to mention is right off the bat, we meet individually with you, talk through high school and beyond plan, get that taken care of, talk through grad requirements and future plans, and help you with all of that. navigating all that. And then the other part is right away in the senior year, you'll, if you're thinking of 2-year, 4-year college, you'll fill out like a application for financial aid, basically get money for college. And we'll get into that more later, but just want to mention kind of, you can kind of see the other things. And if you have siblings, you probably kind of know, older siblings, you probably know some of these things, but just want to give you at least a little preview. So. And then I think grad requirements. So this is, hopefully you've seen this and kind of digested this a little bit, but we kind of like to put it up every year. And we'll get into a little bit more too as we get closer to registration. It's just good to keep kind of for yourself, keep an eye on these so you're planning for each year in terms of making sure you're taking care of the classes you need to. You can kind of see on here what you need in each core area. One question that comes up sometimes is PE, and I know people ask about like getting a waiver. You can start doing that junior year, so next year is when you can start applying, and it's like 80 hours equals a semester credit. And if it's a community sport, there's a process, and if it's a school sport, there's a process, and it's just a form, and we can kind of go over that. So that's kind of that process. I think the other piece is, you did tech lit. So just total credits, 30 total credits. Obviously, 4 years, if you had 8 classes each year, that would get you up to 32 credits. And then you also have the advisory credit. So there's a little leeway there. But if you're worried at all, please reach out to us. Like if you have any questions or you're worried about something, that's what we're here for, is to answer those specific individual questions. And then the last thing just to mention on here, as you see on the right there, the high school and beyond plan. This is part of what we're doing today. And then we have a follow-up piece in a couple of weeks where you'll actually go and do some hands-on stuff that will be part of your sophomore meeting, part of that plan. Then we'll do something junior year, and then we do something senior year. So each year there's a part of your high school and beyond plan. And then once you do all those things, sometimes senior year, and that gets changed to MET once you've met all those different things, which is why we really want to emphasize that. If you were not in district, I just always want to mention, or out of state, Washington State history, if that says not met on yours, then let us know, or we can help you with that. And then graduation pathway, we're going to talk about those options here later in this presentation, just to kind of let you know about those. But that's kind of what those things are, just if you see those on your transcript, the bottom of your transcript. Oh, Ms. Schutz, you're muted, sorry.
Thank you. Story of my life this year. There's a couple of questions in the Q&A. One of them, I'm not sure if you're answering those, Mr. Kudo, if that's why they're disappearing. I had them and then they're gone. But one of the questions was about, can we view this? I think it might have been related to the graduation requirements. And on the counseling webpage, we're going to be talking to you about registration, and this course catalog, the graduation requirements are in the course catalog, and that is on the registration page of the counseling page. There's a registration page, and on that is information about grad requirements, but it's also in Skyward. And if you go into Skyward, there is a grad requirement tab, and you can actually keep track of the classes that you've taken, the classes that you're currently enrolled in, and where you are as you work your way toward graduation. So all of this is available, and we can make sure that you have access to it after the presentation if you have questions. So really quickly, just kind of dovetailing with what Mr. Vandermolen said about the graduation pathway. It used to be that students had to pass the Smarter Balanced assessment in ELA and math as a graduation requirement, or there were a few alternates if they were not meeting those scores. What the state has done is opened up what they call graduation pathways, and they acknowledge that based on the student situation, there may be a variety of reasons why they want to show that they are ready to step out into their next steps after high school, and it might not be through passing the Smarter Balance assessment. And so this is a list, and I'm just going to go very quickly through this, but again, these are things that we're going to be working with you individually as our students. Counselors will be working with you to see based on your pathway, which graduation pathway option makes the most sense for you. So the Smarter Balance test is something that will be offered. We're not sure if it'll be offered this spring. We're wondering if that will be the case, but if it is, we encourage all students to take it because it is the way that many or most of our students check off this graduation pathway requirement. So there's no risk in taking it, but if you take it and you meet the cut scores, you're done with that graduation pathway option. It's checked off. Another option. Oh my gosh, I didn't have my microphone down. Sorry about that if you couldn't hear me. So the next option is the dual credit option, which is an option for students who take classes in junior or senior year or anytime in high school where there is an option to meet college credit while they're taking those classes for high school credit. That's another way that they can check that off in the areas of English, language arts, and math. So for example, a student who might be taking financial algebra as a senior and has not met that grad pathway could get that checked off by passing financial algebra because you can earn college credit while you take that class. Another example would be students who are in Running Start. I have some students who are checking off that graduation pathway requirement by taking a college level English or a college level math. CTE pathway, I'm going to skip over that one because we have another slide for that next. ASVAB for students who are interested in pursuing military. There's the Armed Services Vocational Aptitude Battery. That's an assessment that you can take. And that is something you can also take if your pathway is headed in that direction. That might be another way you can check off your grad pathway. And finally, SAT and ACT, college admission tests, they also have cut scores for the state. And if you take those and you meet that cut score, you can check off this grad pathway. So long and short is there are lots of ways to do this. You don't need to worry about this right now. It's something that we're going to be talking with you about in the future. And the positive is it's much more open than it used to be. And we will find a grad pathway that works for you so that you can check this off for graduation. Mr. Kudo, if you go to the next slide that goes into the CTE pathways. So this is one that's really exciting for a lot of students to meet their grad requirement pathway. And that is that if you take 2 credits of CTE courses in a particular area, that can also check this off instead of having to pass the Smarter Balance test, say, or use one of the other options. So for some students who are interested in a certain area and might be taking these for electives anyway, it's a very seamless way to check it off. So for instance, if you look at the Bellingham Public School custom pathway, the blue one on the left, you'll notice there's a fabrication pathway. So a student who took Tech Lit, Applied Technology, and Manufacturing class, so Mr. Crier's class and Tech Lit, could check that off by taking those as electives. Right. In another area is ASL, or American Sign Language, which we offer at Sehome. And that's under the Family and Consumer Sciences, the yellow box. And if you're taking ASL 1 and 2, and you feel like you may use that language in the future or working with people, you can also check that off as a grad pathway. So again, we'll go over more of these with you. Perfect, Mr. Kudo, thank you. We'll go over more of these with you as we register for junior and senior year. It might be something that we want to pursue for you if you're interested in taking some of these classes anyway, and it lines up with your high school and beyond plan. Okay, and I apologize that my microphone was up. I'm sorry if it was hard to hear me at the beginning of that last slide.
All right, so can everyone hear me? Am I okay? Okay, I always get nervous when people can't. All right, so there was a question that asked, if I took and passed the Smarter Balance test, would I still have to do the ACT, SAT, or is it an option? So if you work with your counselor to choose the Smarter Balance test as your graduation pathway option, you're good to go. A lot of students who are planning to go to a 4-year school, 2-year school, that would be a really good option for them. So you don't need to take the ACT or SAT to be able to meet that graduation requirement. So hopefully that answers your question. If you have more questions on that, let us know. There were a few other questions about the SAT and ACT, and I know it's really confusing because there's the difference between the graduation pathway, which is a way for you to graduate from high school, in comparison to applying for a four-year university. So the SAT, ACT can be used separately for those. It can be used as basically an indicator to show that the score that you have shows competency similar to the Smarter Balance, to say, yes, you've met the requirement for high school. Some colleges use the SAT and ACT as an admissions requirement, but not all of them, especially with COVID and since students haven't been able to take that test. A lot of colleges are changing that. So we just recommend, as you're doing all the explorations this year, be sure to be looking at the admissions requirements for each one of those colleges if that's something you're interested in. And if what I just said was totally gobbledygook, reach out to your counselor. We can help you navigate those websites or make phone calls to college reps with you, and be able to explain some of that jargon, because I know it can get really confusing. So, thanks for that
Michelle,
question.
there was a question about whether or not to take ACT and SAT if both are required. And just really quickly, again, we'll go over this more as you go into junior year, but no, some students find that they like the format of one test versus the other. You don't have to take both. Sometimes students take both to see which one they score relatively better on, but you're not required to take both if you're looking at four-year colleges.
Yeah, and another thing I was just going to offer was, I know the question came up. Obviously, things are changing and evolving with COVID, so we'll see where we are next year in terms of your opportunities to take SAT or ACT. Some four-year colleges have gone test optional, which means they're not requiring you to take it to apply there, but we don't know how that will change and evolve. So we'll keep trying to update. We'll update you, of course, going into next year. And then the other one, I know multiple people asked about, if you do running start and you still plan to apply to a four-year college and attend right out of high school, then you still would need to take the ACT or SAT if that four-year college requires it, because you're still applying as a freshman applicant, even though you've done some running start college classes. If that makes sense. Good questions.
Good questions.
Yeah. It's all super confusing, and every college honestly has a little bit of a different take. So we love to dive into this with you as we either later this year or 11th grade, 12th grade, just keep us in the loop with your questions around that. So kind of zooming back into your options for 11th and 12th grade. As a 11th grader, you have a lot of opportunities that you didn't have when you were in a 9th and 10th grade. So first, I'm going to start with what most of our students do, which is a full Sehome schedule. So that would be taking 8 classes with Sehome. A lot of our juniors and seniors, if they haven't already, they consider taking some of these dual credit options that we have just right here at Sehome. So the first one would be college and the high school courses. That is a class where you receive college credit by doing exactly what you're already doing in your high school class. Depending on the class, the teacher will be associated with a community college or university, and that would be the transcript that you get started with that college. So for instance, psychology, that is a class where you can get some college credit. Neuroscience, Spanish 3, pre-calculus, there are quite a few. So as you chat with us in February or March, let us know if that's something you're interested in, and we can guide you into which of those courses are available. Another option is the CTE dual credit. So you might actually be taking some of these right now. In Skyward, you'll notice there's an asterisk with a T before the name of the class, and that indicates that you can also receive dual credit by taking those classes, traditionally with a technical college. So those are really great opportunities, especially if you're interested in a specific pathway. So as Ms. Schutz had mentioned, I'm thinking like computer science or something like that, where you're hoping to continue later down the road in that pathway. You can kind of get some of these credits started in high school while you're taking classes you were already interested in. So the thing to know about those two credits, the college and the high school and the CTE dual credit, is that they do both cost money for the college credit. So taking the class without getting the college credit, you don't need to pay for it. But if you were to get that dual credit, the college portion, it does cost money. The college and the high school is at a discounted rate, so you would pay less than you would if you were to be a traditional college student. And it kind of depends on the class and the credits. So it's hard to say exactly how much that would be, but your teacher will let you know at the beginning of the class what that would look like. For the CTE dual credit, it's a really sweet deal, actually. You pay, I think, $25. I think Ms. Schutz Van Mullen, is it still $25 just to
I
make
believe
sure?
so.
And then any class you take after that, you get the credit. So it's a really awesome deal to be able to get started on some college credit and be able to keep taking classes that you're interested in high school. Another option to take more rigorous courses at Sehome are our AP courses, so advanced placement. This has the option for dual credit as well, but the difference is at the end of the year, you would take a test, an AP test, and depending on the score you get on that test, you would potentially be able to get some credit at different colleges. Every college has a little bit of a different idea of how much credit they offer for those. So like admissions, we just recommend if that's a plan you're going to make, to be looking to see what credits you can be offered with that. All of those options are great ways to introduce some rigor into your schedule if you're looking to take some more challenging courses and prepare yourself for doing some post-high school options. And my cat is trying to go on the keyboard, so I'm gonna put her over there. Okay.
I was gonna say too, with the AP also, like if you're ever curious, like if someone's like, say you're in AP World History this year and you're curious, like, oh, if I get this, depending on how I score on the test, you can go to any college website and put in like AP credit policy for the search. And then it'll pull up a chart and say, like, if you score this on your AP test, this is what credit you'll get, at our college as an example. So that's just a little piece there too.
One quick question I saw pop up in the Q&A was about high school GPA being affected by running start courses. It was the question. And yes, when you take classes at the college, we will be transcribing those onto your Sehome transcript. And you'll also be starting a college transcript. So you'll have let's say you're attending Whatcom Community College as a Running Start student, you would be starting to have a Whatcom transcript that has just those classes you've taken at Whatcom, but you'll also be putting those on your Sehome transcript, and they will be included in your GPA because we want to make sure that you get credit for those classes for graduation. Good question.
And also to follow up on that too, there's the college and the high school. So an example might be pre-calc, and Mr. Viss, if you taught pre-calc and then you wanted to get college credit, I think it's through Everett Community College. So then you would log in there and you actually get credit through Everett Community College, and it posts a grade there. So later you have to go in and get your transcript from there and bring it to your four-year college. I mean, just to give you an idea of how that works a little bit.
Yeah, that's the really cool thing about college and the high school is basically all the work that you're doing, including the grade that you receive, that is the grade you get on your college transcript. So it's a really neat option if you especially are thinking, okay, down the road, let's say psychology, for example. That's a area you're interested in and you're interested in majoring it potentially in college later. You could start building some of those classes by doing what you're already doing. So it's a really cool option, and the prices tend to be cheaper than if you were to pay as a college student. So I'm going to skip over the Northwest Tech Academy because I have another slide after this. But Running Start is I could literally have a webinar fully on Running Start. There's a lot to talk about. So I'm just going to give some basic information, but we love to have the chance to talk with you about if this is a good option for you. So when we meet in February or March for registration, what we do is we recommend that all of our first-time Running Start students do a full Sehome schedule and just, pick out 8 classes that you're interested in, and then as you figure out the process and registration through Running Start, we can help you remove those classes. Some students choose to do full-time Running Start, which would be taking 3 classes per quarter through Whatcom Community College or BTC. Some students will do a mix. So they'll do, let's say they're involved in orchestra at Sehome and they want to keep that class. They do orchestra with Sehome and then they do the rest of their classes at Running Start. So you can work with your counselor to make sure that you're able to fit in all of those classes that you want and making sure that you're meeting the specific requirements through Running Start. We recommend that students, chat with us during the registration in February and March. And then usually about March and April, both schools, Whatcom Community College and Bellingham Technical College, will have information sessions. So you can get information from them as well as to the process of registering for classes. Well, first you would applying for classes, going through orientation, meeting with an advisor to make sure you're registering for the classes that you need, and then actually going through registration. So it is a bit of a process that is independent of Sehome. So it's important that you, make sure you have all the information as you're navigating it. We also have a Running Start coordinator, Mrs. Zender. We mentioned her earlier. She also does the Career Center and back in the building. She was also in the counseling office, if you guys have met her before, but she's amazing. She has really great resources, not only in navigating the registration process, but getting supports. They also have tutoring and writing centers and things like that. So if you're interested in Running Start, please let us know in March and April, and then we can give you the next steps moving forward with that.
And one other thing with Running Start, I know there was a question in the chat earlier, which often comes up, which what is better, Running Start classes or like AP classes in the high school? Because a lot of times, there's this perception that AP classes are better and will look stronger to colleges. I think it really depends on a little bit on kind of what your goals, the difference is. Like AP is a national curriculum. So if you're applying anywhere in the US in terms of the colleges, they kind of know what AP means and what the curriculum's gonna, they know what the curriculum means, if they see that on your transcript. If you're taking Running Start classes though, they are college classes, and it really depends on what classes you take in Running Start, because those can be just as rigorous of a curriculum. Like you might be able to take organic chemistry and take a whole 3 quarters, which is like, a quarter is almost like a year of curriculum at credit wise. So you could take really rigorous classes through the community college and Running Start as well. So that would be something where I would talk to whoever your counselor is. And so we can kind of see what maybe colleges you even have on your mind and what your goals are, and we can talk through, because some people might even take, like, say, I'm going to take AP US History and AP English at Sehome and then take my other classes through Running Start. I mean, there's lots of options that we can kind of walk through with you. So that's kind of sorry, that's a little long-winded, but I just wanted to answer that.
No, that's good. And there was a question about timeline, and just know that coming up in the next month, we'll be talking with you about registration in general and meeting with you one-on-one in some capacity, whether it's, most likely we'll be doing one-on-one virtual meetings this year, probably through your classes, to talk about your specific plans. And then we can talk more specifically, if you're interested in some of these other options, we can give you the timeline for those particular programs. But we'll be meeting with you first in February and into March, just to talk about registration in general. So if these ideas are sort of popping around in your mind, that's great. Again, we're planting seeds, and then we'll meet with you in the next month or month and a half to talk about your specific plan and can give you some more nuts and bolts on the timeline for that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, and in the meantime, I think just keeping up, doing what you're doing now, working hard in your classes is really the best thing that you can be doing to prepare for Running Start. But I skipped over this Northwest Korean Technical Academy. I wanted to make sure you guys just kind of saw this visual, because it's a really cool opportunity for our 11th and 12th graders to do something a little different. It's similar to Running Start in that there are dual credit options in that there are opportunities for students to get some credit through Skagit Valley College. But really what it is an awesome program that's run through Skagit Valley College. There's right next to it, it's a building that has a bunch of different hands-on classrooms. So as you can see here, over on the left-hand side, there's like a culinary program where you actually work in the kitchen. A lot of the students will cater events. You learn about the business side of building a restaurant. So some of that entrepreneurship. You'll see there's kind of in the middle, there's a picture of someone with a welding mask. So you get to learn the basics of welding, and there are some certificates that you can earn while you're taking those classes. And basically on the right-hand side, you can see that there's also medical assisting. So if you're interested in doing things like certified nursing assistant or moving toward the nursing program at any of the community colleges or universities, it's a great way to kind of starting to get some of those hands-on experiences. The way it works is the first part of your day, for essentially the first 2 periods of the day, you go actually on site to, well, I say this as we're in the virtual world, but depending on if they're running virtually, you would go and do your classes through that program. Then you would come back to Sehome and do usually 2 other classes. And so your day is split up between those 2. While you're at the Northwest Korean Tech Academy, you're earning high school credits and the potential for some of those certificates. So if you're a student who really enjoys hands-on type classes, diving into project-based assignments, if you have a passion area that you're really interested in and you want to try and learn more specifically about that, I highly recommend it. There's another really cool program, the Fire Science, which provides some really great introductory classes for students who then go on to entering the Fire Science program at Skagit Valley College with sort of an advantage because you're getting some of that hands-on and book work done before you actually head to that program. So if you're interested in this, they have open houses and webinars and information sessions that usually happen in the spring. Again, if you're interested in this, we recommend you do the full 8 classes at Sehome. And then once you get fully registered with the class, you can work with your Sehome counselor to make sure that your credits are aligning with your graduation requirements. So
we do have transportation for this program too. So it's down at Skagit Valley, the main campus, but we have a bus that leaves from Bellingham High School and takes students down and then drops you back off at Sehome. And one of the fun things about these programs is you get to take classes with students from other high schools in Whatcom County, but also Skagit County, and meet people that are interested in kind of exploring a passion area that you're interested in as well. So that's been kind of a fun feedback from students, is just meeting students from other high schools in these programs.
Yeah. All right. So here's a bunch of the options. Some of the newer ones are money and business. They also offer things like construction, video game development, veterinary assisting, dental assisting. So you can really get started on a lot of career pathways while you're in high school, earn high school credit, some potential for certificates. But yeah, I mean, just take a look at some of these. I mean, welding, Sehome right now, we don't offer that option. So if you're really interested in welding, talk to us and we'll get you set up in those classes and organizing a schedule that works for you. All right, so we sort of zoomed in. We took a look at the classes for the next next year and thinking about into 12th grade. And so we just want to touch on this briefly, but thinking about, what is the whole reason that we're taking these classes and being really thoughtful and intentional about classes for the following year. And it's because, eventually you'll be leaving high school and we want to make sure that you're prepared for whatever your goals are. So there are a ton of options and we just want to make sure that you have, that you're aware of all of them. There's the 4-year college and 2-year college routes. I think we talk a lot about that. You hear a lot about that. But there's also some other options like art school. So that's an opportunity for students to go to, a 2 or 4 year program where instead of spending maybe 70% of the time in the classroom and maybe 30% of the time doing the work, which is more traditional of a 4-year or 2-year college, you're actually spending, upwards, 60 to 80% of the time in the studio developing your art, doing the art. So it's a really cool opportunity for students that are wanting to build their skills by doing. I had one student last year who was really interested in animation and was looking at the Rhode Island School of Design. And they were really, they're also competitive, but I worked with her to develop a portfolio so that she was able to show her work and show that she was dedicated to developing those skills. And so she's over there now. In the past, I've had a lot of students that have gone to Cornish, which is here in Washington State in Seattle. That's another art school that's a 4-year school. So again, you're just spending more of the time, if you're the student that's like, I'm taking like 4 art classes this year, and that's, where my passion lies. Talk to us about that, and we'd love to help you kind of find a school that can help you meet your passion. I don't know if Ms. Schutz or Mr. Vandermolen, if you have some other students that you've had in the past that you might want to share their.
I was going to talk a little bit about the military service or academies. I know we have one student who's applying. I have one student who's applying to the Air Force Academy this year. And if you're interested in like applying to the academies or even military, like there's, it can be a little different process because sometimes you have to get different recommendations and you have to do like a physical test to show your pass a physical health test and things like that. So you can have to plan a little bit earlier for the, and then also like we will have like college fairs and district fairs, and also through with Ms. Zender, if you do want to get connected to like a military contact where you can just talk through and find out options, because we've had students do like attend a 4-year college that has like a ROTC like component on a 4-year college campus, and then we've also had people go directly to the military. So all those, if you want to even talk to someone and just kind of talk through your options, we can connect you up, and Ms. Zender can help connect you up with that to kind of just start learning more about it.
Oh, Ms. Schutz, you're muted.
I've had a couple students do apprenticeships, which is an opportunity where you can actually earn money working alongside someone who's very skilled in the trade, and also be taking some classes alongside. And so I've had students do this. I had a student recently do this as an electrician apprenticeship who wanted to work in that field. Great option for students who really are hands-on learners and want to go right into the field and work alongside someone who's very skilled in that area. And so there's some great apprenticeship programs down in the Skagit Valley area and around. And so we can help you with that if you're interested in one of those.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. It's always nice to hear some of the things that students are doing after high school. A lot of our students also this past year have taken a gap year, just knowing that school was online. So they decided to either work or, kind of develop some of those skills. Maybe they're an artist and they want to just be really focusing on that and then apply to school later. It's a great opportunity to do some volunteering. In the past, students did traveling, which isn't an option right now, but just being able to kind of develop yourself and kind of work on some of those personal skills to prepare. Or maybe you're just like, I'm not sure. I know I want to go to college and I'm interested in these things. Giving yourself more time to decide. Employment. Some of our students go straight to work, and we also have Ms. Zender and the Career Center to help with resumes. Actually, that is one of the things that is required for high school graduation. So regardless, everyone will be working on some sort of resume, but let us know if that's something you want to be working on now, if you're interested in getting a job while you're in high school.
And I was going to, sorry, Michelle, I was going to say one other thing too is if you ever just want to explore around, like that's why we kind of showed you the tour of our website too. There are some cool resources, like if you're like, oh, I want to see what apprenticeships are out there, or I want to read more about like Running Start, like you can just, we have links there you can collect and read about. And obviously we're happy. We enjoy talking with you about them. I'm not just saying that, but I just want to know that resource if you're someone that's like reading about things.
That was a perfect segue because in 2 weeks, we're going to be doing some exploring through the high school and beyond plan. So that's perfect.
All right, so this last slide that we have for you, well, not really the last, but almost last, is just so you can see the class of 2020, their post-high school plan. So this is what our students reported by the end of the year, what they were planning to do. So about half of our students went to four-year colleges or universities, about a quarter went to a community college. And then you can see up on the upper left, we had some students that went to the workforce, some that took a gap year. One student was an exchange student, so they went back to their home country, 1% in the military. There were some students that were returning or going to community transitions. And then we had 11% that did not report because, you know, they were still working on their plan at that point in time.
And it was
so again,
COVID year. It's an
yeah.
unusual year for seniors.
So this is what they were planning to do. Although I would assume that a lot of things changed because we're in such flux, but that's what we're here for, is to kind of help you figure out what that next step looks like along the way, and help you choose classes to prepare you for that. So I think the next slide, not next Wednesday, but the following Wednesday during Anchor, we will have another 10th grade graduation requirement. There's an activity where we'll be doing some of that exploration in your passion areas, trying to figure out kind of like, okay, what is the reality of getting this job versus this job? Some just fun activities to get your mind thinking and give you some resources for exploring. So we'll be sending out that information during Anchor. So yeah, we look forward to seeing you in a few Wednesdays.
Yeah. And that one will be more hands-on. So you'll actually be going on and doing some stuff, which will be fun. But yeah, I just want to say thank you to everyone for coming again. And hopefully the information's been helpful. And like you said, if you have individual questions that you didn't want to ask here, then reach out to us in one of the ways we talked about.
That was a lot. And so if you really, want to discuss something more specific, we are here for you anytime. I think there was a question about if you can meet with parents. We love to have parents join the conversation. I think that's really helpful. We will be reaching out specifically to you in 11th and 12th grade, but we're always available to continue discussions throughout the year. So yeah, let us know.
Thanks for joining us today. We know it's a lot of information, and we're just, again, planting seeds, and we'll be meeting with you in a couple weeks, and we're always here. So reach out, and we're looking forward to seeing you in person soon, I hope, but also just join us anytime. You can message us through Teams, email us, and we have district cell phones, as Ms. Jelt said at the beginning. So reach out in any way that works for you, and have a great day.